Brighter Shores is a free-to-play, quote-unquote, MMO that just launched on Steam into early access a couple of days ago. Normally this wouldn't be something I would cover, but this MMO is headed by Andrew Gower, who, if you didn't know, was one of the founders of Runescape. If you couldn't already tell from the art style, you can see that this game bears quite a few resemblances to Runescape, that being a point-and-click MMO and having a similar monetization scheme. Going into this game, I didn't really have many expectations because news and info on the game was pretty sparse. And I think that was probably to keep expectations low for everyone going into this. And after playing about 10 hours of the game, I think that's probably where you should set expectations. Brighter Shores feels like an MMO plucked straight out of 2008, and by that I mean it's pretty much RuneScape. I would call it derivative, but I guess it was made by one of the OG founders of RuneScape. I mean, you're allowed to copy yourself if you want. Now, this game isn't a complete one-to-one copy of RuneScape, but Brighter Shores opts to do things just slightly different. But I would go as far to say that if you like RuneScape, then there's a chance that you'll like this. But if you don't like RuneScape, then there's a good chance that you won't. It's a point-and-click MMO with a bunch of grindy skills. It's a good chill-out game to play, but it's hard to say if I'm really enjoying myself yet. I jumped on this game right as it launched, and then all of a sudden, like 3 hours of my life just evaporated. I can't say that I was having a lot of fun, but I can't really say that I hated it either. It's the exact feeling I get when I play RuneScape. I guess there's no way to do this video without comparing Brighter Shores to RuneScape, so just get used to that. The only controls that you really need to play the game are your mouse and your left mouse button, but everything just works with like your left mouse click, and that's it. It controls your camera. Clicking on an NPC brings up all the options, like attacking, examining, etc. Same when you're interacting with objects. Look, there are separate keybinds within the game, but you can get by without any of them at all. For the most part, I think this is fine. I did find that I was accidentally clicking on NPCs a lot when I was just trying to run around, and it kind of stopped my momentum a couple of times. Not the biggest deal ever, but it also seems like the developers will probably be adding in a way to like reconfigure keybinds soon and giving us the ability to tweak how the controls work a lot more. But at the moment, this is kind of what it is. There are keybinds, you can't change them yet. They're looking into implementing them ASAP. So even though at the moment the camera sensitivity, especially for me, is way too high and there is currently no way to change it, it does seem like there will be a way to change it in the future. Next thing I'd like to talk about is the user interface. It all works well enough, but it is a bit clunky and ugly. One thing I do like though is that there's a lot of customizability with the UI. You can slot things around to where they're most comfortable to you. That's kind of a feature I really liked, but like I said, a lot of it is ugly. It's a bit clunky. Buttons are big and they just look gross. And the feature that this is most prevalent with is definitely the map. I think the map looks absolutely awful. Although I do like that, like, once you have discovered resources around the world, you're able to find out exactly where those resources are on the map. And skill guards can also link directly to the map. So even though the map is, a nightmare to navigate, the developers are kind of heading in the right direction with the way that they convey information. And the way that discovery works in this game, like, it encourages natural exploration of the world, which I like a lot. It's just a shame that the look of the map and actually using the thing is extremely clunky. It definitely needs a lot of work. Now, as for what you actually do in Brighter Shores, the game is more or less, the same as RuneScape. There are skills and you just level them up by doing fairly repetitive tasks. The way Brighter Shores changes it up a little is that there are different zones, and in each new zone you visit unlocks a new set of skills that to level up exclusively within that zone. In the first zone, called Hope Fort, you get 5 skills: cooking, foraging, fishing, alchemy, and guard. Guard is the combat skill. Foraging and fishing are collection skills, while cooking and alchemy are processing skills. They work in tandem with each other, so if you're efficient, then you can just level them all up together, just like RuneScape. The combat in this game is a kind of like a toned down version of RuneScape 3. You can quote unquote choose 3 different weapons, but one always has to be a ranged weapon, one has to be a 2-handed melee, and the last one is a 1-handed weapon with a shield. You can swap between any of these on the fly during combat. The reason you would do this is because certain weapons have, different affinities, and enemies can have weaknesses or even immunities to certain elemental affinities and stuff like that. The other strange way Brighter Shores differs from RuneScape is that your player's health will reset between every combat encounter, and I kind of don't hate this. Look, if you're looking at this game as a chill MMO, this mechanic does tend to make combat feel more chill. And yeah, it is more chill when I don't have to worry so much about resources and like stocking up my health between every combat encounter. Unlocking new zones, or as this game calls them, episodes, requires you to move through the main quest line. The second zone introduces 4 new skills: woodcutting, carpentry, and then there is gathering, which I don't really know how that one's different to foraging, but you know, okay. Then there is a new combat skill called Scout. The new combat skill works more or less identically from the last one, but the weird thing is that you need a whole new set of gear to make it work. This is definitely one of the more peculiar design choices when it comes to this game, and this decision definitely seems to be one of the main points of contention with the player base. Look, I myself don't fully understand the idea to have it set up this way, but again, I don't hate it. I know I don't sound convincing there. Look, the game makes it very easy to toggle between the different episodes' equipment sets. You have the ability to bank and, withdraw your equipment sets at any time, so it isn't really a hassle to swap. And once you have progressed past the first episode, you aren't done with the guard skill or any of the skills in the first episode completely. The game does require you to go back and forth due to the synergy between skills. But gathering, does come in handy for alchemy, although so did foraging. And from the looks of things, carpentry may have something to do with a skill unlocked in episode 3, but I haven't made it that far into the game to find out exactly what that is. But if you're planning on playing this game purely as a free-to-play player, then you probably won't get to see that either. This game has a subscription service similar to RuneScape. Free players get to play, within the certain area of the game. In Brighter Shores, that is within the first 2 episodes for free. And if you want to go further, then you have to pay $8 Australian a month, which is probably around $6 US. Membership gives you access to episodes 3 and 4, and also gives you the ability to reserve yourself a character name that doesn't have a hashtag and numbers in front of it. Look, my advice is that if you're playing this game, then don't bother paying for membership until you reach the point that you are locked out from new content. I mean, unless you want to save your name. I'm not sure about this, but I feel like this is the first time I've ever seen an early access game have a subscription service built into it. Subscriptions do kind of feel like a dated revenue model, but at the same time, it is really nice just to play a game that doesn't have any microtransactions in it. And please don't add microtransactions to this game. Jumping on this game right as the servers launched, I was definitely expecting there to be issues, which the game did have, just for everyone else except for me. I think I had 5 friends playing this game at once and they all had connection issues and disconnected, and I just didn't. Content creator diff, I guess. Over the 2 days or so that I've been playing this game, on the server side of things and server stability, it feels like everything's been running completely smoothly. I haven't had a single issue at all. As for how the game runs performance-wise, you can see the graphics, right? This will probably run on a toaster. Graphically, I feel like I'm playing The Sims 2, just with a worse character creator. The art style of this game is well defined, but I also just think it's kind of bland. I'm not a fan of it, and I wonder if it is because of the way that traveling works, but it feels like when I'm exploring the world of Brighter Shores, it is less that I'm exploring a brand new world and more that I'm exploring a series of just interconnected rooms. I get that it may have been kind of the idea, but I'm not feeling any sense of wonder as I explore the game. The last thing I want to talk about is the music. I would call the music in this game well composed, but again, it's just kind of bland. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I find that it doesn't really complement the gameplay. I like that the music has a neutral variant and a combat variant, and the game is able to blend between different tracks pretty seamlessly, but again, it doesn't really feel like it complements the game at all and the very non-exciting gameplay. So in the end, would I recommend playing Brighter Shores? I mean, it is free to play, so the only thing that you'll be wasting is your time by playing it. And this game is an absolute time waster. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's similar to RuneScape. Would I recommend playing this game over RuneScape though? Probably not. Although you could probably play them both at the same time if you really wanted to. Brighter Shore's problem is that it isn't really doing anything that wasn't already being done or would be done by RuneScape 15 years ago. And I find myself wondering, is it too late to make a game like this? And I'm not saying that because of how the game is, because people tend to gravitate more towards the old school version of RuneScape that was made in 2007 rather than the new one. But Brighter Shores just doesn't have the benefit of having 15 years worth of content developed for the game. If I had to guess if this game has what it takes to survive in the long run, I honestly couldn't tell you. I feel like it's a bit of a coin flip. The game was able to peak at 21,000 concurrent players in the first day with minimal marketing, and that in itself is pretty impressive. But I think if this game wants to survive, it needs to lean more into the social aspects of an MMO. Right now, the game feels like a single player game, just with a bunch of other people running around doing the same things as me. As of writing this video, the game doesn't have any player trading, which I feel like this game would definitely greatly benefit from. I know it's planned, but it needs to be in the game as soon as possible. A player-driven economy is the first step into getting people to interact with each other. The skill synergy is there. Maybe I want to level up my foraging while my friend can focus on alchemy or the cooking side of things. I know it is a feature planned for the future of the game, but it is just absolutely sorely missed in its current state. Getting player trading into the game could potentially introduce a place that people could go to trade with each other. Similar to, how Varrock or Falador worked back in the day on World 1 or World 2, where there would be dedicated spots where people would go to trade weapons and runes and shit like that. And that's how I could see it working in this game as well. Potentially introduce a place that people will go to trade with each other, which in turn can introduce a spot that people will regularly hang out at, which may also get players chatting with each other more often, and then bam, you have a community. The other thing that this game lacks is a clear identity. Granted, it is still early days, and I expect that the game will change and evolve as it goes, as with most MMOs. But at the moment, it just feels like an inferior version of RuneScape in the way that it looks and in the way that it plays. And yes, the game is technically in early access, and so it is expected to be that the game is, a bit feature thin. And I'll give the developers credit where it's due. They have been very quick to implement fixes to server stability, fixing the chat log, among other things. But after about 10 hours in this game, I just don't really see the vision that this game has. And look, one of the best things going for this game right now is the discovery phase. As a long-time RuneScape veteran, unless I have some version of dementia, I can't ever play that game for the first time ever again. But with Brighter Shores, I get that feeling of not knowing what's ahead of me, discovering how skills work, making my way without a guide telling me the most optimal path ahead. I feel like a noob again. And that's why I can't fully dismiss this game, because it does have that feeling of playing RuneScape for that first time again. So in the end, do I recommend playing Brighter Shores? Look, it really depends on how much you value your time. I think this is the perfect game to play while watching a movie or a TV show or, a YouTube video essay on the side. The barrier for entry is pretty low. It's free. It looks like it could run on a smart fridge, and it can be played with one hand, if you know what I mean. Oh, come on, you know what I mean. It's a good game to play for people who may have gotten into, an accident or had surgery on their wrists, and they can only use one hand. I guess you could also play this game while having a... Thanks for watching this video. If you liked the video, then please leave it a like. And if you are new to the channel, then please consider subscribing. If you have played Brighter Shores, then let me know what you think of the game in the comments. I'd like to see how more people are feeling about this game. At the moment, it just seems like, a lot of people are just saying this is a RuneScape clone, but worse. And I guess they're kind of not wrong. Like with many early access games, I will follow up on this game if enough development has happened that warrants, an extra video on it. Thank you so much to my YouTube members, Controlled Killer, Yellow, and Melodia. And if you think my content is worth supporting via a YouTube membership, the option is there. Perks are on the screen. I also have a community Discord, which is free to enter, as well as a Steam curator page. Links to everything in the description below, and if you have any ideas for future games you want me to cover, then, also leave a comment below. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all next time.